Good morning, friends. Welcome back to Astrology Today and Tarot. My name is Mel Rose, and I'm here to share your daily astrology with a little help from Tarot. This is the Tarot portion and the second half of my daily astrology post, which you can find on my other channel, Astrology Today with Mel Rose. Here I will discuss the tarot card that sits on the side of the page. I'll make a quick review of today's astrology, and then I'll follow up by playing another tarot card, which usually gives us something more to think about. So let's get into it. The tarot card that sits on the side of the page today is the Four of Cups. It'll be there a couple more days. Four of Cups represents in astrology the last 10 days or the third decan of the sun's transit in Cancer, in the land of Cancer here. Cancer is a water sign. Cups are water in the tarot, and water element symbolism has to do with the stuff that happens on the inside, like the way things feel, our emotions, our intuitions, and our creative capacity. So here at the Four of Cups, we see a person who seems to have reached a point where they feel they've had enough of whatever was in those cups, and they don't seem to be very open to, or perhaps they're not even noticing the cup that's coming in from the side as sort of a what would appear to be like a gift from the universe, right? So if we put the cups in the context of the way things feel to us, our emotional experiences, our intuitive experiences, our creative experiences, sometimes just two or three of those can be a pretty overwhelming experience. And I always say that it's fully valid if you're feeling overwhelmed by your emotional experiences, etc., to take a pause and reflect and figure out what you think about how you feel, right? And sort of define for yourself the terms by which you're going to be open to more emotional, intuitive, or creative opportunities, because the simple fact is that we're going to continue to have those. If we close ourselves off to further opportunities to feel, to intuit, and to create, then we're also closing ourselves off to the potential in life to experience satisfaction, fullness, and joy, and also, growth as a human being. All of these are very, to me, satisfying experiences. So we don't want to be closed off to further experience, and we don't want to spend our lives just sort of dwelling on what has happened in the past and saying, oh, well, that was enough of that, I don't care for any more experiences, thank you very much. Okay. And if we do get into that place where we're so reflecting on what has happened in the past that we can't seem to be open to new experiences, then it's going to come across like we are apathetic, or like we really just don't care. And the problem is that when people think that we don't care, when people get the impression that we don't care, they stop trying to include us, and our opportunities diminish. Okay, so like I said, if you need to take a pause and reflect and absorb what it is that you've already been through, that's a really good idea. And probably you want to also remember that eventually you're going to want to open up to new, fresh experiences, so that you can be open to joy and growth and all those other good things that the emotional and the intuitive and the creative life have to offer. With all of that said, I'm going to go ahead and shuffle some cards while I remind myself and the cards that the sun is in Cancer. Now, friends, I'm probably going to move around a little bit here, and you'll see that my lighting is a little messed up. I'm here working in my shadow right now because my light rig is just not working well for me at the moment. But I think there's enough light to do this, so I'm just going to go ahead with it. Sun is in Cancer. And this is the last couple days of the sun's transit in Cancer. This Friday, actually, we're going to move into Leo. So we're gonna transit from Cancer into Leo. Excuse me. And that sort of is a shift in outer life vibes from the caring and nurturing, like the initiation of care and protection, to more like the fixed drive and passion of the fixed fire sign Leo. So it's going to be it's still going to be this summer vibe. It's still going to be like, the sun is very much the daylight hours and the outer life are still very much impacting our inner lives, but Leo rules the sun, whereas Cancer rules the moon. So the sun will be sort of at its best and bringing us the most nurturing possible qualities that it can, in the form of Leo vibes. For now, though, sun in Cancer, nurture and protect. We want to initiate care for ourselves and others. It's appropriate to think about water, how much you're taking in, bathing yourself to keep yourself cool, getting down to the water side if you can. And also, Venus is in Cancer too, so that's a very attached and connected, loving vibration. Venus is all about those things we like, love, and can't get enough of, and how we try to draw them in. And so in the filter of Cancer, it's drawing in that care and protection. So the first thing that makes me think of is, self-care, like making sure we put on our own oxygen masks before we put on, the oxygen mask of the person in the seat next to us, right? Put it on them. Moon is a waxing gibbous, nearly third quarter moon in Aries all day today. Moon in Aries gives us this feeling of wanting to take action from the heart, and if we're not able to take initiative on anything at this time, we may find ourselves feeling restless and impatient. So activity is generally the way to burn off frustration when you're dealing with Aries or Mars. Today is Tuesday, and so it is Mars's day. Go ahead and be as active as you can. And it's great because waning gibbous, almost third quarter moon, right now we are thinking about what it is that we no longer want to hold on to so that we can release it over the next week or so in time for that new moon, that clean slate from which we can begin to create again. So make your lists, sort things out, make a pile by the door of the stuff that you want to push out, and tomorrow will be the day to really take action and start pushing things out the door. Stuff and things and outdated thoughts, attitudes, and dispositions. On the moon side of the page today, we don't have any aspects until early tomorrow morning at 1:26 a.m. where the moon will go sextile to Saturn. That is a feeling of emotional strength and security. What you will do with that at 1:26 in the morning is anybody's guess. I will probably be asleep at that time, but enjoy that feeling of being solid, and perhaps you'll wake up on Wednesday morning with some really good emotionally secure ideas to start your day off with. On the sun side of the page, we have a whole bunch of things happening today and a whole bunch of things happening in the ongoing column. So starting early today, Mercury reaches its aphelion, which is its farthest point in the sun from the sun, which is really never very far from the sun. Okay, the Mercury and the sun are very close together in reality on the wheel of the zodiac. Mercury never moves more than 2 signs away from the sun before they sort of edge back together. So at the aphelion, Mercury speeds up our pace, and it has to do with all those things that happen very quickly for us, like our thoughts, plans, and communications, the running around we like to do on a day-to-day basis. This might slow us down a little, or we might find that we just have a little more time in between appointments and projects, which is a great time probably to get back to that sort of self-care vibe, right? Mercury enters Leo this morning at 7:35, and Mercury, as filtered through Leo, expresses our grander visions for ourselves, makes bigger plans, is very theatrical and demonstrative. Okay, so we are more likely to be confident and direct in the way that we communicate with other people, and probably a lot more demonstrative and dramatic about it as well. Well, Mercury is in Leo, which will be for 2 or 3 weeks. Today at 8:26 this morning, Chiron goes retrograde, where it will be pretty much through the end of the year, okay? So Chiron is in Aries. Chiron in Aries is about our social wounds, or, our ability to feel like we are accepted wherever we go, to feel like we are included even when we are when we diverge somehow from the norm, right? So when Chiron is retrograde, we turn our attention on those social wounds back toward ourselves. We've been Chiron Chiron direct for a while, so our attention has been on how that the sense of diversity and inclusion gets played out in the world. And now that Chiron is retrograde, we're going to be thinking about and feeling about how that sense of diversity and inclusion is represented in ourselves or reflected in ourselves. Okay, so we're going to be able to look back on our social wounding patterns and hopefully be able to heal some of them just based on what we know today and how today differs from when we got those wounds. Sun goes opposite to Pluto today at 8:38 a.m. All of this before even 10 a.m. Sun goes in opposition to Pluto. Okay, so there's a potential for something to come up in the outer life, like a conflict, a surprise. Opposition does not necessarily indicate positive things happening. Okay, so please be careful with yourself today and for the next several days, because how do I say this? I want to give you a good idea. Right. So there's just this potential for unhappy consequences to our outer life choices. These things may not really be within our power to control or predict. Understand that things can change really quickly and clearly for us. Understand that it can be a very emotional thing when it happens. And also that, being resistant to the changes that we see coming are likely to drag us further into into disarray, into confusion, into discord. Okay, so roll with the changes. Roll with the changes. Don't try to stick with a plan, especially if it's one of those plans where you keep getting interrupted, stuck, or held back. And then also on the page today, I have Uranus conjunct North Node conjunct to Uranus. Now, North Node is not a planet or an asteroid. It is a point in space where the moon crosses the ecliptic, and it has its own transits through the signs. Right now, it's transiting in Taurus, as Uranus has been. We've talked a little bit about Uranus in transit a couple months back about Uranus in Taurus a couple months back about how it's not a very easy fit because Taurus likes reliable, fixed resources, right? And Uranus brings about change, so that's really not fun for for Taurus or anything that's going on in Taurus. Now, North Node in your birth chart has to do with your specific trajectory in life, sort of the way you're meant to go. And North Node, in regular astrology is sort of like our cultural trajectory, or the way the direction we're trying to move in at this time. And Uranus conjunct to North Node, or North Node conjunct to Uranus, this is sort of shifting, changing. There can be some abrupt endings and beginnings when it comes to what we think of as our trajectory. And our trajectory right now, North Node in Taurus, is all about securing reliable resources. So don't be surprised if some usually reliable resources sort of dry up for us, are not available to us. We're already kind of moving in that direction, so I would not think it would be a terribly big surprise. And also, it's possible that a new type of resource will open up to us at this time, changing the way we move forward as a culture. So that's me looking on the bright side, but it'll be interesting to see what changes between now and August 15th. And I'm going to keep that on the page so that we're aware of and still thinking about the shifting of our solid trajectories in life. Pluto is retrograde through October 8th. Pluto retrograde, it's the final retrograde in Capricorn, and it's bringing us through some really deep and total changes, foundational, so deep that it's possible we're not fully aware of them. And that's happening on a cultural level, but also on an individual level, which feels very personal, but we're all going through it. So please be kind to yourself and please be kind to others. Mercury is in opposition to Pluto through July 21st. and this can be a little bit competitive. We're having some strong ideas about the changes that we're going through, and it's possible that our ideas about what we think we're going through or what we think we'd like to do next are not necessarily aligned with the actual changes we're going through or what is actually going to happen to us next. So we might find ourselves in conflict with ourselves or others about that. Do understand that whatever your path forward is that you choose, it's not going to work for everybody. So don't put yourself in conflict with other people about what you think they should be doing, especially if it's like, hey, come do what I'm doing, right? Saturn is retrograde through October 22, and Saturn's retrograde in Aquarius is about our sense of responsibility and dedication to the community at large. We want to create and rework structures that work to help everyone feel supported. But Sun is quincunx to Saturn through July 19th, so the work slows down a little bit and it becomes a little exhausting. Don't push harder than you have to at this time. There's a danger of becoming sort of sapped in terms of your physical well-being and your financial well-being. It would be a good time to ask for help. Otherwise, it might be a good time to, give it some time to take a little break and allow the situation to unfold. And I point to Saturn because Saturn also rules time. So Saturn is the one that slows us down on these little trips we go on with it. And then Neptune is retrograde through December 23. Neptune's retrograde in Pisces is here to clear up any fantasies or illusions we've been laboring under. All personal artifice becomes transparent. We can no longer fool ourselves, and we can no longer allow ourselves to be fooled. Sun is trine to Neptune, and Mercury is trine to Neptune. Okay, so these two were just conjunct, and that really gave us this really sharp clarity of thought and purpose. And that's brought us to this position where we can notice our dreams and fantasies and understand really clearly how they differ from reality, and also assess how we might bring our reality somehow closer to what we what we have dreamed up for ourselves. So these two trine aspects offer up ideal possible functioning for this assessment of our dream versus our reality, and that allows us to move actively, somewhat perhaps impulsively in the direction of our dreams, while we still know the difference between our dreams and our fantasies. Venus is square to Neptune just through today, and it's possible we've been noticing some insecurity because we concern ourselves at this time with how we look to others, or even our own negative self-assessments. Not being happy with the way we see ourselves or the way other people see us. Square energy, though, is not here to stop us from expressing ourselves. We want to say kind things to ourselves when we find ourselves talking to ourselves. Say kind things to yourself in the mirror. And you know what? Flip the bird to anyone on the outside of you who cannot show you the proper support, okay? And with all of that said, I'm going to turn this card. Ace of Cups. What have I been saying? Self-care, self-love. Okay, so the Ace of Cups for me represents the fact that love is not an economy, okay? Love is an eternal resource that we have to draw on, okay? It's like this bottomless well of emotion, of love, of capacity to connect that we can draw on anytime we need to in any situation. And we can draw on that love to give it to other people, and we can draw on that love to give it to ourselves. And please, friends, whatever you give in terms of nurturance, protection, caring, love, support, please, whatever you give to other people, think about that and give some of that to yourself as well. We all need support, and we all need to be self-supporting as well. So it's sort of like we show other people how we want to be treated by showing them how we treat ourselves, right? So that's what that speaks very loudly to me. Now we've got this Venus trine to Jupiter coming up next week, which is going to be this really relaxed and groovy, open vibe where we feel like we can grow in love and compassion, and it'll probably work out very well for us. We've got Venus down here square to Neptune, showing us some insecurity about the way we seem to ourselves, or about the way we look to people outside ourselves. And really, we have to be willing at this time to give ourselves what it is that we need in terms of attention and affection and nurture and care and protection. And those are physical active things that we can do, and those are also feeling, emotional, inward expressions that we can make. Okay, Venus was trine to Saturn just through yesterday, and that was, we were kind of calling in all of this receptive quality. We were kind of calling in practical options for ourselves, things that felt more supported and supportive, and hopefully, you went in the direction of those things and found yourself enjoying having a little more stability and support. Venus is now in Cancer, so we're very attached to the people and things we like, love, and can't get enough of, and it's a very emotional and loving vibe at this time. Taken together with the Four of Cups, well, finally we got cups and cups. So that's really good. Although 4 plus 1 brings us to 5, and we'll discuss 5 of Cups later, but it does indicate some a time to mourn or a time to acknowledge loss. So, I guess what I'm seeing here is, this Ace of Cups sort of in comparison to this cup that's on offer here that the person isn't seeing, right? They're looking back on these past experiences and they're saying, oh, I don't know if I'm open to anything new. I really need to sit here and contemplate what I've been through. I just might not be open to any more emotional experiences at all. Well, here's the thing. When you cut yourself off to emotional experiences, you cut yourself off to joy and growth and satisfaction and all sorts of really good things. But one thing that you can do, if you are feeling like you've had too many, let's say adverse or overwhelming emotional experiences or creative experiences or intuitive experiences, experiences that made us feel a lot, okay? If you feel like you've had too much, and perhaps you've been accepting those experiences sort of indiscriminately as they come along, it's okay to be a little more discerning going forward, and it's okay to sort of define for yourself what emotional experiences you're open to, and part of that is by figuring out how to give yourself the love, the joy, the satisfaction that you need without having to look to outside resources, to other people for them. So yes, self-love is definitely part of that. If you close yourself off to emotional experiences, you're even closing yourself off to the emotional experiences you can give yourself. And don't ever forget that you can give yourself these emotional experiences, right? You can give yourself the feeling of being loved. You can give yourself the feeling of being supported morally and emotionally and intuitively and creatively. Ace of Cups. The cheese stands alone, right? Okay, friends, I think that's all I have to say about it today. Thank you so much for joining me. I truly appreciate your presence here. My name is Mel Rose, and I'll see you all back here tomorrow for more Astrology Today and Tarot.